Over the past year, Tommy Fury has gained a lot of attention on the internet. This has come directly from his association with influencer boxing, and more specifically his beef with Jake Paul and KSI. Tommy is a professional boxer who's the half-brother of heavyweight champion Tyson Fury and the son of Big John Fury. He's been boxing since he was a kid with the goal of following in the footsteps of his older brother.
As a little kid, 4 and 5, I was hitting my dad's hand as a little baby. I knew what I was going to do. I may have gone and done other things, but I always knew I'd be a boxer. This is what I was born to do. I'm a fighting man through and through.
On that journey, what have you allowed yourself to envision? What are your dreams in this professional sport? What do you want to accomplish?
Undisputed world champion. I know it sounds stupid, but I would not be in the game if that wasn't my dream. No disrespect to any other titles, I'm in this to be a world champion.
Before getting involved with crossover boxing, he had a professional record of 8 wins and 0 losses at 23 years old. Hearing that and the fact that his second name is Fury, you could be fooled into believing he was of a similar caliber to Tyson at that age, but that couldn't be further from the truth. On closer inspection, you can see his record is padded with fights against journeyman boxers with terrible records. We're talking 10 and 102, 0 and 26, 2 and 26, and so on. It's true that it's common for boxers to fight lower level competition on their way up to get experience and beef up their resume, but these guys were really bad. So when Jake Paul got sick of people saying he needed to stop fighting old retired MMA fighters and fight a real boxer, Tommy seemed like a logical choice. He's a Fury, so Jake saw him as a big enough name to help market the fight, and he'd not proven himself to be that good of a boxer, so Jake believed he could beat him. Tommy knew the payday from fighting Jake would be insane compared to what he was making from his previous fights, so he jumped at the opportunity. Of course, we know Jake ended up losing, just as KSI lost to Tommy 8 months later, but if you think Tommy walked away from these fights unscathed, you'd be mistaken. Tommy first gained popularity when he joined the cast of Love Island in 2019. Love Island is a very popular dating game show where a group of contestants live in isolation from the outside world in Mallorca, Spain. They're constantly under video surveillance, and in order to survive on the show, the contestants, known as islanders, must be coupled up with another islander, whether it be for love, friendship, or money. The series lasts for 8 weeks, and over that time, couples are slowly eliminated through public votes, and the last remaining couple wins a cash prize of £50,000. When Tommy joined the cast, he was 20 years old with just 2 professional boxing matches under his belt. It seemed like a strange choice for him to go on a dating show when his boxing career was just getting started, and Tyson had serious doubts about the whole thing. But at the time, the decision made sense to Tommy.
Cut a long story short, after my debut, fights were penciled in and they got cancelled. I called them back and I said, you know, what's going on, right? What's this actually about? And they said, okay, take a look at last year's season and give us a call back. So that's exactly what I'd done. I watched it. I thought, do you know what? 8 weeks in the sun, beautiful girls, getting a tan, I can't go wrong, you know, I've got no fights coming up, so I thought, yeah, go on, I did it. So then I went down to London, a couple of auditions, and then that was it. I mean, the rest is history.
It was on the show that he met and fell in love with his now fiancée Molly May, and they ended up finishing in 2nd place. They were very popular with the public and came out of the villa with millions of followers on Instagram and brands knocking down their door. In the blink of an eye, they went from being relative unknowns to 2 of the most recognizable faces in the UK. And with all the opportunities coming Tommy's way, he decided to put boxing on the back burner. This video is brought to you by MyBookie. I love using MyBookie because I can easily and conveniently make a bet on any sport of my choosing. Just the other week, I bet on Tommy Fury and Logan Paul winning against KSI and Dylan Dennis in their boxing match, and that was a huge success. And there are many more events I've got on my radar. For example, I know for sure I'll be making a bet on Pavlovich Aspinall and Edwards Covington in November and December, and I'm excited to see if I make the right call. MyBookie makes things easy. With a simple search, you can easily find what you're looking for and take your shot at predicting some of the biggest sporting events of the year. So whether you're interested in boxing, MMA, or pretty much any other sports, head on over to MyBookie to get in on the action. And if you follow the link in the description of this video and use the promo code TELLUSMORE, you can get up to a $200 cash bonus with your first deposit. The bonus carries a 1x rollover, meaning you'll only need to play through your deposit and bonus amount a single time before becoming eligible to withdraw. Don't miss out and sign up to MyBookie today using the link and promo code down below. After one too many club appearances and modeling shoots, Tommy came to the realization that the life of a reality TV star wasn't for him, so he decided to get back in the ring. It was around this time that KSI and Logan Paul had their second fight, which KSI won, and Tommy took the opportunity to call KSI out.
I thought it was a very entertaining fight, and I wasn't aware that KSI still wanted to fight afterwards. I thought he was just going to fight Logan and, you know, twice and that was it. But I've heard that he does want to keep fighting. You know, I'm a fighting man. I'm no amateur star, whatever like that. We're both from, you know, the influencing backgrounds. He's from the YouTubing side. I'm from the Love Island reality TV side. let's get it on. You know, if he wants a real fight, he knows where I am.
This wasn't a good look for Tommy, who was seen as a legitimate prospect, but was doing multiple interviews calling out a YouTuber. KSI ended up rejecting his fight offer and suggested Tommy fight his trainer at the time, Viddal Reily. Viddal is another prospect who had a similar professional record to Tommy at 3 wins and 0 losses. It would have been an interesting matchup, but for one reason or another, Tommy didn't want the fight. On August 29th, 2021, Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley for the first time in Cleveland, Ohio. Tommy fought on the undercard against Anthony Taylor, another professional boxer who's since crossed over into the influencer boxing scene. After both winning their fights, Tommy and Jake had a confrontation in a corridor which quickly descended into chaos.
Jake, Tommy Fury. What's good, son?
Listen, you need to stop running, my friend, and let's get it on.
Listen, boy, bro. What's going on? Tommy, be careful.
Do you want to keep running or do you want to take the fight?
Hey, well, you can barely be my sparring partner.
Listen, you can be a guy who's never had a boxing that guy never had a boxing fight. Take the fight. Take the fight. Take the fight. Take the fight.
This led to them signing a deal to fight in December 2021, but in the run-up to the fight, Tommy pulled out. Apparently, he was suffering from a bacterial chest infection and had broken a rib during training. Their fight was then rescheduled for August 2022, but Tommy pulled out once again, this time due to visa issues that meant he was unable to enter the US for the fight. Unsurprisingly, he got a lot of heat for this online, with people suggesting the pressure had got to him and he was scared to take the fight. But ultimately, the bout got rescheduled for February 2023. In the lead up, you could tell Tommy was fed up with it all. He'd been getting slaughtered online for months due to the cancelled fights, and the narrative that he wasn't that good of a boxer had gained a lot of traction. You could see he was itching to get in the ring with Jake so he could finally shut everyone up. This was particularly evident when he completely lost his head at Jake after an exhibition match he had a few months before their fight.
Get in here. You don't want to step in there because he ain't no man. I'll fight you now. We'll just have a fight. Get in this ring now. Come on. You. Get in the ring now. Get in. Do you want me to come there? Do you want me to come there? Do you want me to come there? 2-2-2. Jake, we got a mic.
Come on, pussy ass. Get out here, cuz. Let's go. You fucking stuck at fighting. Let's go. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
And of course, there was no chance John Fury was going to miss out on the action. 4 months later, in their pre-fight press conference, Tommy expressed his frustrations and promised he'd deliver a clinical knockout on fight day.
I'm ready to go and put this all to bed because for the past 2.5 years, all it's been is, when are you fighting Jake Paul? To even mention my name in the same sentence as that, it's disrespectful to me, who's been boxing my whole life. And I'm gonna clinically knock this guy out early.
With the golfing experience between him and Jake, a knockout should have been on the cards, but Tommy didn't even get close to one in their fight. It was actually Jake who landed the only knockdown of the fight in the 8th round, but it was too little too late. Tommy had won enough rounds by working off his jab to set up combinations, and the judges scored the fight as a split decision in favor of Tommy. You could see just how relieved Tommy was when he won the fight. With all the hate he'd been getting online, and the immense amount of pressure placed on him by his family, who said things like he'd have to change his name if he loses, Tommy needed that win, and you couldn't help but feel happy for him when he got it. But at the same time, winning by a split decision against a YouTuber who only started boxing a few years ago didn't show him in a good light, and it made his world title aspirations look silly. And even if you didn't agree with the decision in favor of Jake, it was clear just watching the fight that Tommy has a very long way to go. 1 month after Tommy's win, he officially entered the WBC Cruiserweight World Rankings at number 38. This put him 2 places ahead of Viddal Reily, who I mentioned earlier. In response to this, Viddal posted a YouTube video calling for Tommy to fight him.
If your aspirations are to head to world level, I'm ranked underneath you, it can be a big fight, the attention is there. What are you saying?
Viddal also has a large social media following, so a fight between them would attract eyeballs, but the consensus seems to be that Tommy wouldn't go near that fight. The reason for this is that Viddal, despite being ranked below Tommy, is a much better boxer, so the fight would almost certainly go one way. But you'd never hear that coming out of Tommy's mouth.
Any response in terms of what Viddal has turned around and said that he would, end you in terms of...
I mean, at the end of the day, no disrespect, but, Viddal's fighting he's fighting a lot lower than me, Say what you want about opposition, but I'm fighting at a world championship level. I'm doing millions pay-per-view buys with all these big names. I'm not going to be foolish and drop down and fight Viddal Reily in your call, am I? So at the end of the day, all due respect to him, but he's not a big enough draw You know, at the end of the day, Viddal, who is he outside of boxing? I've said my hit list. Jake Paul's already been striked off. KSI's next, and from what I seen the other day, Jake Paul wants it again in February. So listen, I'm happy. I'm happy. Keep these fights rolling in.
So despite his dreams of a world title, it appears Tommy just wants to fight the easiest opposition for the maximum payday. And honestly, it makes sense. Reportedly, he earned around $4.5 million just for showing up to the Jake Paul fight. That's more than most boxers earn in their entire career. And he knew by fighting someone like KSI next, he'd be able to rake in something similar. On July 28, 2023, it was announced that KSI and Logan Paul would be headlining the Prime Card Misfits boxing event on October 14th. 2 days later, KSI's opponent was announced as Tommy Fury. Once again, Tommy had hit the jackpot, and this time he managed to secure a fight against someone with even less boxing experience than Jake. So in his mind, it was going to be a walk in the park.
My fists are going to do the talking on Saturday, and I promise you now it's going to be an early night, because I'm going to do to KSI what should have been done to Jake Paul.
Does it have to be an early night for you?
100%. I'm coming out here to make a statement. I'm not coming to jib and jab around like he did with Paul, fight up and down. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm coming here to make a statement, and this will be over inside 3 rounds.
But when the time came to back up his word, Tommy failed to deliver yet again. His fight against KSI turned out to be closer than his fight with Jake. KSI adopted an unconventional fighting style that nullified Tommy's main weapon, his jab. Either KSI was completely out of range, meaning Tommy couldn't utilize his reach advantage and build off his jab, or he was in the clinch putting in work there. Now there's no denying the game plan from KSI made the fight quite difficult to watch, but ultimately it was effective at dealing with Tommy. Most people agree that KSI won rounds 1 and 2 and that Tommy took rounds 3 and 4, but there's debate about who came out on top in rounds 5 and 6. I thought KSI won at least one of these rounds, which would mean that, taking into account the point deduction, he would have won the fight. If not, then I believe the fight should have been a draw, and this is coming from someone who bet on Tommy to win. You could tell Tommy and Tyson thought the fight might go to KSI, judging from the looks of doubt and concern plastered over their faces, and their reaction to getting the win gave it away even more.
You know what's funny is that before the Jake Paul and the KSI fight, Tommy and Big John both said, if we don't get these two out of here, it's a failure. And then, both times, when he wins razor close decisions, he cries and acts like he's heavyweight champion of the world. So which is it?
The way everyone, like, it's all euphoric and shit. That means that you, man, really didn't know what was going to happen.
Imagine you've boxed since 6 years old and you're having life and death with guys who've been doing it just as a hobby for like the last few years. But yeah, keep talking about that world title, Tommy. I'm sure it'll manifest somehow.
Tommy's lucky. They even said
oh, look at the way they were celebrating, man.
Yeah, they know he was lucky, man. Right. And it shouldn't have been like that. To be honest, when you claim I've been boxing all my life, I've been sparring the world heavyweight champion of the world,
and his dream since a little kid is to hold a world title.
He ain't holding nothing, boy. Man was saying I'm gonna end YouTube boxing, and he come and perform like that.
I don't know how he plots his route to the world title he's wanted since a kid. I'm going on this path. Explain it to me.
It's not happening. He knows it's not happening.
He knows
it. He ain't got the minerals.
He knows it ain't happening. Just say it, bro.
It's not happening.
Since the fight, Tommy has done interviews in which he slated KSI, saying hugging and doing star jumps in the ring doesn't win fights, and that now he's the king of influencer boxing. But the man shouldn't be doing a victory lap. Tommy is younger, heavier, has more reach, is taller, and has far more experience than KSI, and with all that, he barely won a fight against him. If you compare him to Tyson at the same age, the difference is night and day. When Tyson was just 3 years older than Tommy is now, he defeated Vladimir Klitschko to become heavyweight champion of the world, and the idea that Tommy would achieve such a feat in 3 years is completely unrealistic. He said time and time again that his goal is to become a world champion, but his actions tell a different story. Take Viddal Reily. Even though he's a big YouTuber and is friends with a lot of the fighters in the influencer boxing scene, he doesn't get involved with it because his sole focus and goal is to get a world title. Despite the allure of massive paydays, he doesn't get tempted, and you can see the progress he's making as he just won the English title at Your Call. Tommy shows no such hunger, and that's okay. He's making ridiculous sums of money from fighting these YouTubers, and he's setting himself up for life. If Tyson was in his shoes when he was that age, he might have done the exact same thing. But where people take issue with Tommy is when he claims the likes of KSI and Jake Paul are so far beneath him and that he's destined to win a world title, when any legitimate world title prospect would have walked through both KSI and Jake Paul with their eyes closed. So will Tommy ever follow in the footsteps of Tyson? I think not. But will him and Big John Fury keep milking this YouTube boxing scene for everything it's got? I think so.